Kiran, don't get depressed or something like that. Okay. You made a very small mistake. I'll tell you what that mistake. Now you will understand for sure. Okay. Second. So what will happen in the beginning? What will happen in the beginning? So after 2 or 3 days, you should not write all this all the time. Okay. You will have to evaluate in your mind only.
Okay.
Only for understanding purpose only I'm teaching all this, but after this you should avoid drawing all this and writing everything, hoisting everything needs to be evaluated within your mind only. Yeah.
After this class, can you provide like this some pseudo codes?
Yeah, I'll try to. So firstly, global execution context gets created, right? Global execution context created, and how many variables are there? Root is declared with where keyword, so it will be undefined. And test one, this is hoisting phase I'm writing. So test one is set to function fully hoisted, and test two is set to fully hoisted, right? And from here to here function definition, so we'll skip. And from here to here also it is a function definition, we'll skip. So at line number 16, what we are doing? Kiran, you have to tell me. At line number 16, what we are doing?
It's calling test2 function.
Yes. So what will happen? Test2 context will be created. Right? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
And now what are all the variables? I'm not going to write hoisting for this, so I'll directly write the variables. Orange is assigned to orange, and language is assigned to JS, right? And now after this we are making what? Kiran, you have to be continuously on mute and you have to fill the answers. So what is this?
It's calling test1 function.
So what we have to do here?
Test1 creation phase will be executed.
How come test1 creation phase? How come test1 execution phase will be created?
No. First it will created creation phase. It will went for function test1.
No. I'm asking you, is there a variable test1 here?
No. It's not there.
Then how we are able to access that for particular variable?
Means it will search for its lexical environment.
Yeah. What is the lexical environment of test2?
It's a global execution context.
Yes. Is there a test1 variable in the global execution context?
Yes, sir.
So now it is fine. The test1 execution context can be created now, right? So now what will be created here?
Test1.
And now no need to write hoisting and all. Directly write the values. So 20 and C is 30 and test1 is what? A function. And then after this, at line number 9, what I am trying to do?
Calling function test1 too.
And is that variable within this context?
Yes, sir.
So what will happen?
Execution phase will be created for that.
Execution context of that particular function will be created. Now in this test1 too, what are all the variables are there?
N and X.
Yeah, I'm directly executing them. And then here I'm having some console log of n plus x. So n plus x is, of course, n and x both are there in this context. So n plus x can be printed, which is 275. And coming to root variable is not present within this context, right? The second variable root is not present within this text context. Sorry, within this test1 to context. So what should we check for?
It will check for its lexical environment.
Yes. So what is the lexical environment of test1 to? Where test1 is there? Yeah, test1 is the lexical environment of test2. So that means we have to check for the variable root within this context. And is there a variable within this context? No. In this context also no. So then what we have to do again, we have to check the lexical environment of this. And who is the lexical parent of this test1?
Global execution context.
Yes, this one is the lexical environment of test1. And in the global execution context, is there a variable named as root?
Yes, sir.
Yes, what is the value of that?
Undefined. But sir, why are we not means declaring its value?
Because the value is assigned in line number 17, and before executing line number 17 only, that means in the line number 16 only, everything of this thing is happening. Every of all these things are happening, right? It has to be sequential. Okay, so before assignment of this thing, that means before executing 17th line only, all these things are happening one on the other, right?
Yes,
So,
yes.
yeah, whenever we are trying to log this, whatever the value in that are there, that will be printed. Now undefined will be printed. So that's what we got the output. Now let us continue analysis. Okay, let us not stop the analysis here, and let me continue this. So what will happen now? The control goes to the 10th line. That means this will be erased, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Now what will happen? Where we called this test1 from here, right? So now, sorry. Actually, after printing this is test1 context, right? So test1 context got erased when the CPU reads this 8th line. That means test1 got erased now. Now where we are calling this test1 from? We are calling from this 9th line. That means from the test1 execution context. Now this got completed. Then the control goes to line number 10. That means this function is also got completed. That means test1 execution context will also get erased. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Now, after erasing this, where we call this test1, we call the test1 from line number 14. That means we are done executing line number 14. So the control moves to line number 15 now. So in line number 15, it is a closing of test2 execution context. So test2 execution context will also get erased, right? And where we are calling this test2 function, we are calling from line number 16. So line number 16 execution is completed, then the control goes to which line?
17th line.
Yeah, 17th line. Now after executing 17th line, what will happen? The undefined value of root will become
Bytes.
bytes. That's clear now?
Yeah, it's
Clear or
clear.
not?
Yeah, it's clear.
But you're facing some issue, right? See, nothing I'm doing. I'm not manipulating anything. Write things in sequential order. Every time you do that. The main thing is that before execution of this line only, all these got executed. How? Just because I made this call before only. Okay.
Okay.
So everything I made very
Understood, sir.
sequentially, right? Everything I made sequentially, and you will have to make a lot of analysis as you were absent for the last 2 or 3 sessions. You might know this call stack for the first time. You might face some issue. So just try to practice. I'll be sending some kind of problems to all, and you try to analyze each and everything and try to solve all of those problems. So then this closures will be cleared for you. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So is this clear? This is what the closures concept. And what is closure here? By the way, I never used the term called closure. Linking of variables of a particular function with its lexical environment is called as a closure. That means test1 function, or let us say test12 is the function which is making a closure with its lexical parent, which is test1, right? Okay.
Yes, sir.
So that's what a closure is. Is this clear, everything?
Yes, sir. Clear.
If yes, I can move on to the scope of the variables. I
Yes,
need to
sir.
discuss some more thing that will be very easy. And this one is the most toughest part in JavaScript. And if you understood this, I know that I made it very easy. If you understood this, then you can play with JavaScript. Trust me. This is the most toughest concept. You can type in Google also. Tough concept. I'm checking. Myself and most of the people will think that the toughest concept is variables which are declared with var keyword on function scope, function and global scope. Okay. And variables which are declared with let and const keywords. What? Block, code, block, function, and closure. Simple difference. Let and const variables are block scope, whereas var variables are not block scope. That's it. Only difference is that. Okay. Now let me show you practically how these things are. Let me save this. Nothing is there as of now. Did you understand this statement, by the way? What do I mean a block here? What do I mean a function? I'll make a function here. Function test. Okay. And here in this, I'll be having a variable called let a is equal to 50 and let b is equal to 30. Okay. And I'll try to log both of them in and then I'll execute this function. I'm making a call for this function and I'll call the variables a and b. Okay. Now you see, as a and b, even you don't need to know this because you know how under the hood things are going on. So definitely you can say the answer without knowing this topic also. So can you tell me what is the answer now? In which line what will be printed? Let me know immediately.
In line number 8, 9, 20 and 30 will be printed.
Okay.
And in line number 12, and not defined.
Not defined. Someone is saying that it is not defined. And here it is 20 and 30. Any more answers? Other than these two? Any more answers you have other than Shiva's?
Sir, instead of not defined, it will be undefined.
It will be undefined. So not defined. Okay. And I'll write your answers. Not defined is one's answer and undefined is your answer. And any more answers? See, undefined is a data type. That means variable present in the memory and that is assigned with undefined value, then this is correct. And just think whether the variables are there in the memory or not when we read this statement.
No.
Any more answers, guys?
No, sir.
No. So how many are you sticking to Sumant's answer and how many are you sticking to just type in the chat box, sticking to Kiran's answer? Yeah, remaining only 3 people are there. Not defined person. Okay. I am with Sumant's answer. Okay. What about you, Saigiri? Sumant's answer. Of course, whatever Sumant told, that is correct. And Kiran, just remember, undefined is a data type. Okay. Undefined is a data type. It is not like not defined. Actually, in general, not defined and undefined both are same in English, regular English. But in JavaScript, undefined is a kind of data type. It is like a number, string, boolean, something like that. But not defined is an error. Okay. Not defined means when the variables are not at all defined, then you will get that error. When variables are defined and for which the value is assigned as undefined, then we'll get that as undefined. Okay. Now let us see the memory level again for this. Okay. You got, I think. So what will happen? This is stack. Okay. So firstly, global execution context gets created, and in that test is assigned to a function. Okay. And then when I'm making a call at 11th line, what will happen? Test context will be created, test execution context, and in that A will be assigned to 20 and B will be assigned to 30 immediately. I'm not hoisting, and printing this will give 20 and 30. And now what will happen? After this will get erased. That means the function call got completed, and then the control moves to the next line, which is line number 12. Okay. So when we are in line number 12, what we are trying to do? We are trying to log the values of A and B. And is there A and B within this global execution context?
No.
No. So what we have to do, we have to check for its lexical environment. And for global execution context, I told you the lexical environment will be null. So there is no variables A and B. So when there is no variables out there in the memory, which are A and B, then what should we get? Not defined error. Got it? You got this or no? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Let me save this. And you see 20 and 30 printed in line number 9. and not defined error in line number 12. Okay. That means A and B I declared by using let keyword as well as var keyword. That means these two variables can only be accessed within its scope. I mean, within this function only we can access this. We cannot access anywhere outside of it, but we can access anywhere inside of it. Try to know the difference. We cannot access anywhere outside of it. That means we cannot access these variables in their parent. That means, who is the parent of test, by the way? Just look at this and tell me.
Yes.
Global execution.
Yes. So
Global
we
execution
cannot use, we cannot use these variables in its parent. Okay, we cannot use these two variables in its parent because these are function scope. Now you see one more thing, but we can use inside anywhere. Know the difference. That means if I make a function over here, function test2. Okay, now if I try to log this A and B, okay, and I'll make a call to this test2 as well. And can you guess the answer now? I'm not saving this file. So this is a kind of you might feel that you will be facing some difficulty in understanding this. No, very easy. You have to tell the answer. So firstly, what will happen? Same thing, call stack.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and after call stack, what will happen? Global variables will get created. What are they?
Test.
Only test
function.
and that is assigned to function fully hosted, and we'll directly jump into this 15th line. Test context will be created. Okay, test execution context, and then what happened? A is assigned to 20 and B is assigned to 30, and then console log A and B. That means 20, 30 will be printed here. Okay, and then test2 will be assigned to a function. Test2 is assigned to a function because it is declared with function keyword, and then we are trying to execute that. So since test2 is there within this context, we can create a execution context for it. So test2 execution context got created, and inside test2 execution context, I am just trying to log the console.log A and B. That means I am trying to access variables A and B. And are there variables A and B within this context? No. So if not, then what should we do? We have to check it in lexical environment.
Yes,
And where this test2 variable is present, it is present inside test2. So test is going to be the parent of this test2. And is there variables A and B?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So the 20 and 30 will be printed at line number
11.
11. Right? You got this or not? Let me save this. And you see 20 and 30 got printed at line number 9. Okay. At line number 9, of course. You see, I printed here also. And then what will happen? At line number 11, 20, 30 got printed. And then at line number 16, we are getting an error because this A and B does not know by the global execution context. Right? Because you see, after execution of this, what will happen? This will get erased, right? And after execution of this will get erased. So when both of these two get erased, what will happen? The control goes to which line now?
16th
So
line.
where? Yeah, the control goes to 16th line. And when we read this line number 16, is there a variable A and B in the current execution context?
No, sir.
No. So since there is no variable which are A and B in the current execution context, we have to check it in its lexical environment. And since it is the global execution context, we cannot know, right? So the value will
Yes,
be
sir.
undefined, so we'll get an error. Now I'll make it a little more complex. I'll be creating two more variables here. Let C is equal to 200, 300, and let B is equal to 500. Okay. And now I'll be trying to call. And could you tell me what will be the output? Erase this. Okay. Let me erase this as well. And you have to tell me, and let me remove this as well. No, let me keep it here. Yeah. Now, just tell me, I'm making a test call, and what will happen here? Just analyze and tell me. So I'm making a call to test. So inside test, how many things will be created in the test context? Come on. So inside test, how many variables are there?
A, B,
A with 20,
test
B with 30.
plus 230.
test2 with a function, and then we are making a test2 call here after the executing this. So test2 will be here, and inside test2, how many variables are there?
No, sir.
C with 300 and D with 500, and then console log A and B. So A and B, who are A and B? There are no A and B within this context. So what we have to do? We have to check it in its parent, and test2 is there inside test. So test2 is going to be test2's parent. So in this, are there any A and B variables? Yes. So those will be printed, which is 20 and 30. So 20 and 30 will be printed at which line? Line number 12. Well, now what happened after executing this console log? We'll go to this closing bracket. That means the test2 context will be erased.
Yes.
Okay. So when the test2 context erased, it will be like this, and we'll get back to which line now? Now the control goes to which line? Line number 15, because we are done executing this test2. Now in line number 16, what I am trying to do? I'm trying to execute C and D.
That is not in not defined, sir.
The local this C and D is not there in the current context. So what should I do? I have to check for its lexical environment. And in the lexical environment, is there any variable which is C and D?
No, sir.
No. And in its parent also, is there any C and D?
No.
So what should I get? When the variables are not at all present, what should I get?
Not defined.
Error. No defined.
It is not defined. We'll get an error called not defined. Okay. Let me save this, and you see 2030 got printed in line number 12. You see this is the output, and then at line number 15 we are getting an error. Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Pakka?
Yes, sir. Clear.
All right. Okay, then, and now, so remember these 2 points. What are coming to? Let us come back to block scope. Okay, so this is the kind which is new for us. Until now, you can evaluate and you can tell the answers, but this is going to be new for us. Okay, so I'll be creating something like if I'll be taking an input A, okay, to taking A as 2. I'll be checking the condition if A is equal to 2. Okay. I'll be creating a variable x, which is 300, and I'll be creating let y is equal to 400, and I'll be logging both of them, right? So x and y. Okay. And after this if block also, I'm going to log both of those variables. Okay. So can you guess the answer now? This is new concept.
In line number 10, there will be 300 and 400 will be printed. Line number 10.
Okay.
In line number 13, not defined. Pakka.
Okay. Any more answers? Any more answers? And this is of course not that difficult as closures. So it is really easy. Same answer. Okay. You might feel that this if block, you're treating it as like function, like previously you're trying to analyze
Block.
like previously. Yeah, but this we call even function also we call as a block, and this block also we call as a block. But this block we cannot call as a function, but function block we can call as a block. Are you getting me? So function, whatever we write inside this can be called as function or block. Okay, but this block can only be called as block and not function. Just know the difference. So wherever you see the curly braces, that should be called as a block. And wherever you see the curly braces along with this function keyword or something like this, then that should be called as a function or a block. Clear? Clear or not? Now, is it a block or a function? It is
Block.
block. It. So it is not a function. So what will happen? Let us see the memory structure. What will happen? First, remember one single point. All the variables which are declared with var keyword, even inside the blocks. I'm not telling functions, blocks I'm telling. So block means it can be either if block or else block or a for loop. For loop is also block, and while loop is also block, right? Got it? Got it?
Yes, sir.
So whenever the variables are declared directly like this, or inside any blocks like this, they will be treated as they are declared outside of the block, outside of that particular block. That means declaring where x is equal to 300 like this. Okay, outside of the block. So this one I'm declaring inside of the a equal to 2. This instruction will be executed at line number 8 only, but still the declaration, when it comes to declaration, it is a kind of declared outside of the block only. But it is not the case in case of let and const. Let and const are going to be block scoped. That means they are declared inside a block, they have to be there. Okay. Now what will happen is that in the global execution context, since where x is equal to 300, it has been declared in the block, and that block is there in which context? Where this block is present, inside of which context?
Global execution.
Global.
Of course, it is present inside global execution context. So what I told, variables which are declared with var keyword inside blocks
That
will be treated as they declared as outside of that block. Now, what is outside of this block means? In which context it comes in?
global execution context.
Global.
So x is a kind of declared outside of the block only. That means it is a kind of global variable which is named as x only, which is declared with var keyword. So will x needs to be hoisted or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Undefined.
Yes, it has to be hoisted. Okay. Now what will happen? This is creation phase. Now we'll jump into the execution phase. Let me erase this. Is really confusing. Now let us move on to the execution phase. So in the execution phase, there is a variable called a created with a value of 2, and we will be checking with this condition a is equal to 2. Of course 2. We will be entering into the block, and this instruction will get executed, right? And what is this? Undefined will be overwritten with which value?
300.
300.
Yes. So it will now become 300, and then y is also created inside this. Now I have to make a braces like this. Okay, I have to I'm making a braces like this because let is a block scope. So y is there inside this block only, and now console log x and y. That means x is 300 and y is a kind of 400 will be printed because x is not present inside this block, but it is present in its parent. Okay, where the block is present inside global execution context. So x is present in parent means we can access that, right? So that's how we are accessing this x, and x is of course directly present inside this block, so we can access that 400 as well. Okay. Now after executing this, where we are at this point. That means what will happen? This block will get erased.
Yes, sir.
Got it? Okay. Now what will happen? The control moves to line number 12. And at line number 12, what I'm trying to print? I'm trying to print x and y. And is there x? Yes,
Yep.
x is there. So 300 will be printed. And is there a y?
No.
No, y is not there. So what should we get? Not defined. Yes. So let me save this and you see the output. And what happened? 300 and 400 are there, and y is not defined. And you might guess that x is also printed because this instruction itself is showing up an error. So some part of the instruction cannot be executed anytime. Okay. So x should be printed actually here. Let me print x individually like this. Okay. Now you see 300, 400 is printed, 300 is printed. But at line number 13, there is an error in this line. So in this line, some part will never be executed since there is an error. So entire part will be does not execute it. Got it?
Yes, sir. Got it.
Got it or not?
Yes, sir.
So I'll make one more thing. Now, what if I log the value of x here? Could you guess what will be the answer now? What will be printed here?
Undefined.
Defined, sir.
Undefined, because I told you x is actually declared within this block only, but I'm trying to access this outside of this block. See, whenever variables are declared with var keyword in blocks, they are as if they are declared in outside of that block, only in case of declaration with where keyword. Okay, so definitely, since we are not yet executed this line, so we are executing this line. So X is already hoisted in the global execution context. So that will be printed as undefined here. And let me remove, since we are having some error here, and let me save this. And you see undefined got printed 300 and 400 within the block, and outside of the block, undefined is actually overwritten with this 300 in line number 9. So we are getting X value, which is 300 in line number 13. Clear? Is this clear or not?
Yes, sir.
Clear, sir.
Now, can you tell me the output now? This is really interesting. You tell me this output. And Pakka you can tell, because you know the concept. You can tell it for sure. What will be printed here, by the way, first? See, simple point, what I told, variables which are declared with where keyword inside blocks, they are as if declared outside of it. They are as if declared outside of the block. Okay, so what will be printed in this line?
Undefined.
Undefined will be printed.
Yes.
Okay, and are we going to execute this block?
No, sir.
No. Then what will be printed in line number 13?
Undefined.
Undefined again.
Yes, what is there in that? Why you are thinking about that? Let me save this, both are undefined. When this instruction gets executed, then only the undefined will be overwritten with this 300, right?
Yes, sir.
So, yeah. So that's all about scope chain. Okay, closures and scope chain needs to be used together to know whether the variable can be accessed in a particular context or not. And I hope you got all the concepts and nothing more than that. Remaining meeting time is only 3 minutes 40 seconds. And if you are clear with this topic, then I don't want to teach this web APIs and event loop today, because we are done with a lot of concepts. Like we are done with this closures and we are done with this scope chain. Okay, so I don't want to continue anymore. And tomorrow, or if possible today evening, I'll try to discuss this callbacks and everything. Okay.
Sure, sir, share this syllabus.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll share the syllabus after the meeting.
Sir,
Any
call
doubts you
stack
have?
వేరే call backs వేరేనా?
కాల్ బ్యాక్స్ అంటే వేరే, కాల్ స్టాక్ అనేది ఏంటంటే అసలు యాక్షన్ ఫంక్షన్స్ ఎలా ఎగ్జిక్యూట్ అవుతున్నాయి అనేది కాల్ స్టాక్ చెప్తుంది. కాల్ బ్యాక్స్ అంటే వేరే కాన్సెప్ట్, చిన్న కాన్సెప్ట్. కాల్ స్టాక్ అనేది చాలా పెద్ద ఇది హైరార్కీ ఎట్లా జరుగుతుంది, హౌ థింగ్స్ హ్యాపెన్స్ ఇన్సైడ్ అండర్ ద హుడ్ అనేది కాల్ స్టాక్ చెప్తుంది. వెన్ ఇట్ కమ్స్ టు కాల్ బ్యాక్స్, ఇట్ ఈస్ అ స్మాల్ కాన్సెప్ట్ ఇన్సైడ్ JavaScript. And you see there is one more thing called callback queue and microtask queue. And don't get confused with, of course, when you know the concept, then you can do you get any confusion with this call stack?
No.
Because you know call stack, right? Because you have seen lot of times about call stack, so you don't get any confusion. You have the absolute idea about call stack now, so you don't get any doubt. But when we discuss this callback and everything, see, actually, if you know why we call that as stack, let me tell you. Stack means, and now you can stop the recording, Naveen.